Let's see. Sold out. Sold out. Sold out. Wow, you guys are really excited about Rachel Summers coming to the Marvel Legends line, aren't you? Great news. It's not even her first time. Let's talk about her.
Hey toy fans, Rob here. Let's get these guys out of the box and see what they're all about.
Alright toy fans, so here we have Rachel Summers, or as she was known on the packaging, Marvel Girl. This is a specific version of Marvel Girl, coming from the Brood wave of Marvel Legends, but around this time in the comics, Marvel Girl had just come back from oblivion in the pages of Extreme X-Men. She was kind of fanficked back into X-Men continuity by writer Chris Claremont when he was handling Extreme X-Men, and when that book ended, Rachel was carried over to Uncanny X-Men, where she was part of the Xavier Security Squad. What I think Claremont then wanted to be the team that would eventually become the group of X-Men police that Bishop came from in the 90s. But that didn't quite pan out, and instead we got the comic book End of Grays, a horrible story for Rachel, where the Shi'ar Empire comes and just murders her entire family because they're just done with the Phoenix Force and dealing with it. And that's where this design came from. This figure does appear to be inspired specifically by the artwork of artist Chris Bachalo. Bacalo? Let me know in the comments below. But as you can see, it has the same sort of crop top and short skirt and the boots, the whole bit. Even the hairstyle's the same and the necklace. Hasbro paid great attention to detail on this figure, and honestly, for the dark days of Marvel Legends, this is not a bad version of Rachel or a bad Marvel Legends figure from that time, though she did have a pretty critical design flaw. It seems like the plastic that was used in the crotch piece for this figure was prone to breaking over time. I've had two Rachel figures, both of them crumbled, and people online have even told me that their Rachel figure also crumbled at the waist. So I've actually had to fix my Rachel with super glue, but she seems to be hanging in there alright at this point. Rachel did come with a pair of accessories. She had a flame that kind of naturally fits the mold of her open hand, and then she had a second flame that actually goes over the fist of her left hand. After End of Grays, Rachel would keep this costume around until the rise and fall of the Shi'ar Empire, at which point she traded the yellow and green out for a more blackish, bluish, and orange color scheme. And that costume didn't last too long either. An interesting detail about Rachel at this time was that she actually didn't want to be called Rachel Summers. She wanted to be called Rachel Gray. She was mad at Cyclops for cheating on her alternate universe mother, Jean, with Emma Frost. Can't say I blame her. Articulation for this Rachel figure is kind of a mess. Her head will rotate all the way around. It looks down, barely. It looks up, not at all actually. Her shoulder will rotate around with a very tight ratchet. You hear that popping? She's got a hinge to go up and down, no upper bicep swivel. Her elbow will swivel back and forth. She's got a single jointed elbow that doesn't, well, kinda sorta doesn't quite hit 90 degrees. Full rotation at the wrist, same articulation on the other side. She's got a torso joint that will rotate around. It does seem to be on a ball with a ratchet, at least one click of a ratchet in there. Her waist does rotate. She's got hip joints that'll swivel outwards. They're kind of a V-cut, so it's not really great for poseability. And then she's got a single jointed knee that bends down and rotates at the knee. No boot swivel. Her foot will bend down. It'll bend up. There's no actual ankle pivot there, just a joint that'll allow you to swirl it all the way around. So the articulation is definitely of the era and a little rough. There are actually 3 different packaging variations of this figure. There's the standard version that you've seen in this video, but then there was an alternate version of Rachel where she was kind of all Phoenix Forced out and colored black. She was facing front in the package, but then they also did a second version of that figure where you could see her back because she'd been marked by the Shi'ar in the story End of Grays. So they were actually paying tribute to that with the package variant figure, which I think was a nice touch. Never got my hand on that figure, would like to, but I like that Hasbro was paying attention. Height-wise, this Rachel Summers figure does stand right at 6 inches tall. For some size comparisons, let's bring in her contemporary version of Wolverine, Astonishing X-Men Wolverine. This was how he looked in the comics at the time that Rachel wore that outfit. And in the pages of adjectiveless X-Men, Iceman was looking like this. This was the era in the comics where Polaris wore this costume. And for all of you guys wondering what the heck to do with your Darwin figure, well, he's actually from this era. He and Rachel were teammates. Let's do a couple of other quick comparisons here. If you want to bring in the House of X / 70s style Marvel Girl, you can see how she stacks up against the early 2000s version of Marvel Girl. And because we've been talking about Phoenix, let's bring in the retro-carded Dark Phoenix figure. Also, since we mentioned Rise and Fall of the Shi'ar Empire, here's Lilandra, and Vulcan, and Xavier, who was actually walking at this time. Alright, toy fans, well, that's all I had for you. This is the Marvel Legends Broodwave Rachel Summers / Marvel Girl figure from Hasbro. I think a lot of collectors are going to rediscover this figure as the excitement for the new Rachel continues to grow. But I looked around YouTube and not a lot of people have talked about her, so I wanted to give you my 2 cents and a little bit of history. I hope you enjoyed it. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. You guys can always keep up with me on Twitter and Instagram at D21Beast, and I'll see you guys next time.